Hello everyone, welcome along to another special edition of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast. I'm Kev, I've got James alongside me and we're joined by a very special guest on this episode. We have former town footballer Lars Elstrup with us. Lars, thanks for giving us some of your time. You're back in Luton for the first time since you left as a player. What brings you to Luton?
Yes, that is right. First time back in Luton, and second time I've been once in London some years ago, and since I left in 91, I haven't been back besides those two times, and it's very exciting being back. I was in Odense that was last Monday, and I was thinking, well, I need to get out of town, so I thought of visiting my birthplace, Randers in Jutland, or should I go to Copenhagen? Then I also found out that my guru, my spiritual master, had a temple in Brentford. So the main reason was to go and see him and visit the temple. So I went to Brentford on Wednesday, and the day after I said to myself, I also want to go and see and meet Luton again. So I arrived in Luton on Thursday, 2 days ago.
And you immediately met the chief executive, Gary Sweet, who welcomed you?
Well, the day after, that was Friday, I first rang the club, and I got to speak with Lisa, and she had a smile on her face, and she could hear what I was saying, and she was able to talk to her. Unlike when I tried to watch Brentford's training and spoke to a receptionist there was so much noise in the background. I couldn't hear her. I couldn't communicate with her. And she actually hung up on me. So it was a kind of, how can I tell it? Eye-opener or something, and it gave me a warm feeling about my old club. The first person I meet was the receptionist, and so it was the same thing in my time when I met the receptionist at Luton. She was also a big smile and had time for me, and as I can see, she also had time for other people coming. This means to me now this is a warm club.
Absolutely. So you met Gary, the chief executive, who's invited you to Monday's game against Middlesbrough, which we're absolutely delighted that you're going to be at, and you got a tour of the stadium and everything. Did it bring back those memories of when you first arrived?
Of course it does. It brings back a lot of memories, just coming into town, walking down the street at the bottom of Kenilworth Road, which I could not remember, with all the different nationalities, religions, and just hanging out there, having a coffee, and walking around the stadium. I did before 9 o'clock yesterday, seeing the small passage, taking a picture at the Oak Stand, going to the shop, and seeing the delivery guy, meeting a 61-year-old delivery guy, Alec, and I'm 60 now, and talking old memories, and seeing that was from where we took the minibus, to the training ground when we trained away. And at 9 o'clock, the doors to the office goes open, and I come in and meet the staff and groundsmen beforehand, and everybody in the office. And Gary also came to see me. He actually was in a meeting with 4 guys about plans with a new stadium, but he left the meeting and came and spent time with me 15-20 minutes. And as he said, I was his number one player when I was at Luton. And I put my hand out to shake his hand, but that was not enough, so we hugged
He's a nice guy, Gary, and yeah, like I say, it's great that he's invited you to the game on Monday. We're really pleased that you're going to get to see the current Luton Town play. But you mentioned there about talking about memories of your time. That's exactly what I'd like to do for a little while, if I can. And
yes,
you joined the club in the sort of late 80s. From Odense. You was our record signing at the time. 2 players have since come along and we've paid more for that. But did that bring a bit of pressure to knowing that you was our record signing?
It does, and it also depends on the mentality of the player, how much aware you are of this business situation. And as a striker, there might be a little bit more pressure on you as you are expected to score goals and deliver. And when you got a price tag on your head, it will, if you're not fully understandable of the situation you're in, which most players might not be, give some kind of pressure. And I surely felt that pressure when from the beginning.
Did that impact your performance?
No, I don't think it had an impact on my performance, as when I go on the pitch, I want to give all that I can do, bring the best out of me. The thing is, it also takes time to adapt to a new place, a new culture, a new country, a new way of playing football. And that was a bit hard for me, even though I am good at adapting when I have changed clubs and changing playing styles. It took me 10 games before I scored my first goal at Millwall, at the Den, and that was some kind of relief. So the pressure will build up if the goals stay away. That is hard to avoid.
So when you arrived at Luton, did you know much about the club?
Not really. How did it go? I didn't know much about the club. I knew they won the Littlewoods Cup the year before in 1988. And I came in August 89. And then I was thinking, if you win a trophy, there must be something good in the club.
And we were kind of at that sort of stage where a lot of the players that won the Littlewoods Cup in 1988 were leaving. Ricky Hill had left, I think Brian Steen left, and you replaced Brian Steen. Mm-hmm. Mick Harford was about to leave, and a few others that kind of left. And the season became a battle against relegation, didn't it? A battle to stay up, and we kind of went all the way through that season. And I know from being a supporter of that generation that anyone who supported Luton at the time, the last game of that season away to Derby County at the baseball ground, not their new ground, the baseball ground, we had to win to stay up, and we won 3-2, and Tim Breaker scored from absolutely miles out, and things like that. It's a game
Kingsley Black too,
Kingsley Black got both the other ones. Yeah, absolutely. It's a game that sort of sticks in the memory of all of us that were there that day.
Yes.
And I guess being involved in the squad at that time, it would be kind of similar for all the players as well.
Yes, you can feel that it's about not going down. You want to stay in the good company or in the best league. And when you are in danger of relegating, survival becomes the main target. And we reach that. And you can feel the joy of the fans and also amongst ourselves of staying up. And it is surely felt by every player.
I mean, there was at the time it was sort of terracing still at football grounds, and there were thousands and thousands of Luton fans behind the goal that Kingsley Black scored the winner in, and the noise and the jubilation was just unheard of. It was a fantastic afternoon, and sitting here now, I just thank you for those memories. It was literally is. I mean, what are we? 33 years on, it's still one of the greatest memories that I have as a Luton fan. But actually, I think when I think of you as a player, Lars, I think of the following season. You scored a hat-trick at Norwich, which was a brilliant hat-trick. I think it was a perfect hat-trick, if I'm right. You scored one with your left foot, one with your right foot, and a header.
Yes.
And I always remember that, and the other thing that I remember about that season, again, we ended up playing Derby to stay up in the league, and you scored the second goal that afternoon. That match is probably remembered for the first goal that afternoon, where your former teammate Mick Harford scored an own goal that got us the lead, and again, the atmospheres in those times were just fantastic.
Yes, what I remember about the Norwich game and my hat-trick was that we days before went to a leisure centre to relax, play table tennis, play snooker, not concentrate and focus on football. And that suited me quite good, getting to know other players also in a relaxed way. So that on that Saturday we played Norwich, or whichever day it was, I was relaxed. And I think in those days Luton was supposed to get 2 wins away during the season, and this was the second win we got away in all that season. And that is a good memory for me. About Mick's goal, then I remember I was looking around and there was some kind of surprisement amongst fans and players, and thinking, is this real? Is it happening? And Mick, you know his history much better than I did at that time, and also now, of course, being a Luton man. And we talked about whether it was deliberate or not, and at that time it was not. Then years after, then it was a deliberate goal. And that just shows the heart of Mick. And I scored the second goal after a Kingsley Black assist. And I felt that thing you talked about out at the 3-2 Derby game, you always remember. I remember that there was the last game also at home, and making it and staying in the division. It was a great feeling. All the fans came onto the pitch, and I remember that some of the other players looked for the dressing room, so I hurried after those ones, so to get some rest and not being stripped off all of my clothes. And it was a very good memory.
Indeed. The other thing that I remember that season, there always used to be a saying around that time that you could never beat Des Walker. It's a famous saying in English football.
Who said that?
There's an awful lot.
Nottingham Forest fans sing it regularly.
Nonsense.
It was kind of it was like a thing because hardly anyone did. However, there was a Danish player in a Luton shirt that absolutely sprinted past him. I'm sure it's a memory that you'll remember as well.
I didn't know him that he should be a fast player. Well, Des Walker was a world-class defender and considered one of the best in the world. And he was playing alongside Stuart Pearce, the left back, Psycho. And I got a pass from Steve Williams, and I've seen it on YouTube. And my remembrance before I saw it on YouTube was that the pass was from deep on our own half. And it was a long pass, so I had to run very long distance. But I've seen it on YouTube, and it's about 10 meters on our own half that he makes the pass. And it's a perfect pass, so I outrun Des Walker. There was another defender, and I kept the ball and kept him off, triggered. He saw he had to make a tackle, otherwise I could make a clean shot. So I saw that and took another dribble. And then the two defenders fell over each other, and I placed the ball. It got under the goalkeeper. He had a touch on it and went into the goal. So I was in that situation faster than Des Walker.
For years and years and years, and the Notts Forest fans were like so proud that no one beat Des Walker, and I'm always like with my friends, I know someone who beat Des Walker. Right. I saw it happen, and like you say, it's on YouTube and everything. It's definitely there. It's
right.
It was just another fantastic memory. You left Luton after that second game against Derby that season, the 1991 season. The club fell into financial problems, and you left. But How would you reflect on the 2 years playing that you had at Kenilworth Road?
Well, the first year was difficult. I didn't score so many goals as I should or was expected, and I was about to leave the club. Actually, I went to Brest in France, went on and didn't turn out to be anything. So I went back to Denmark on holiday. There I did some training with Per Pedersen, who Blackburn signed later on for 26 million Danish kroner. And we enjoyed our time together. I had played with him beforehand, and we couldn't wait to get down to the ground just to kick a ball to each other for fun. And he was recovering from a knee injury, and we were just playing kids. So when I got back to Luton, I was in a bit better shape than the rest of the players. And in Odense, I also said to myself, fuck it all, Lars, give it a shot now. And came back to Luton with a more relaxed attitude and a determination in a different way to do my best. So I got into a good shape, good condition, and was more relaxed. And this is things that I need to perform on the pitch, instead of the opposite, being scared and in a cramp, or you can't perform freely. So I was in that kind of state when I came back, and I did hard training. Once we were at a running track, doing runs 100 meters, 200 meters, and 400 meters. And I said to myself, the other guys I was running with, I want to beat them. I want to win this race. Ian Dowie was in the race, and I never won a race like this before. So anybody who's run 400 meters knows how hard it is, and how legs can stiffen and you can totally collapse. So you have to time your run, know the distance, time when you have to do the last sprint. And I timed it perfectly, and I won the race. And when Ian Dowie passed me, he said, "Fucking hell, Lars," and he was impressed. And I was a bit impressed by myself also. And next after that, I went to the commercial boards, and I had to puke. That much I've gone over my limits to win this game. So we went to Scotland on a training camp with Jim Ryan and John Faulkner, and did some different surroundings, different landscape, relaxed. I was more relaxed, and I did things at training that I normally didn't do. Cross coming from left, took it with my bad right foot, placed it perfectly and outmaneuvered Darren McDonough, Dasmo, and I placed it in the top right corner without chance of Alec Chamberlain to reach it. And Dasmo said, "Well done, Lars." And this even now gives me the thrill of those days, having the support of my teammates. And this was pre-season. That was the kind of foundation for my season. And then the goals will come if you keep believing in yourself. Not chasing them, but playing your role and fitting into the team. Everybody will work for each other, so you can make it happen, and you will get what you deserve out of what you put into the game.
You mentioned Ian Dowie there. He was kind of the, I suppose you'd call it number 9 in today's sort of world, and you was kind of more on the left-hand side in that second
7.
season, wasn't you? Yeah. Did that help as well?
Yes, it did. I was brought up as a left winger in youth football and also with Randers Freja playing as an amateur for 4 seasons. I was more a left winger and I was bought for Luton as replacement for the one McDonough, good with the head, and I thought, wow, I'm not good at this. But I developed those skills also a bit. And it is a bit of relievement playing on the winger instead of being the target man, the front man, which is the most important man in any team. You need someone that is strong up there, a playing station, either with both feet and head, to keep pressure off and be able to play attacking football.
You're going to see on Monday night that we have a very similar player to that in Carlton Morris up front. I think you'd have loved playing alongside him. He can either get the ball on his chest, he can get the ball into feet, he holds defenders off, he's physical,
yes.
He's big.
That was Ian Dowie for me in those days.
Yeah.
I learned to read him, trust him, he will win it, and we had a good partnership.
Yeah, I think the two of you would be absolutely fantastic as well. I mean, it's great to sort of recollect, and I'm so pleased that you've got so many great memories about your time at Luton, because I certainly have brilliant memories. I mean, you know, I was just a child at the time, but
how old were you?
I was 9 in 1991 when you had that so great season. So it's those kind of. It was that team that got me into Luton. You know, I mean, my dad took me, but you know, the players on the pitch are the ones that
we get our heroes at a certain age when we were kids.
And you know, I have to say,
who was your favourite player at that time?
Well, I mean, I just missed Brian, Steen and Ricky Hill, who were my dad's favourite players.
Yeah.
So then there was yourself. I always liked midfielders. So Steve Williams, his eye for a pass was always really good. But I was a left footer as well, so Kingsley Black was always my favourite player.
That's what I just said as well, Kingsley.
And
also him from Luton as well. So.
Maybe him and David Priest were the top.
Yeah,
top
David
ones.
Priest as well,
Yes.
I mean, Kingsley came through our youth system, and his first season was the season that we won the Littlewoods Cup. So as fans, we all sort of had a bit of an extra affinity with him, as you'd know. It wasn't just in a Luton shirt that you excelled. You actually did so for your country, and you actually played Euro 92, and I'm really interested. That's the first international tournament that I really understood, and obviously from an England point of view didn't go too well. It was the end of Gary Lineker, and that's what it's all remembered for. But the crazy thing was that Denmark weren't meant to be in that tournament. They only got in at the last minute.
Yes.
And when you got into that tournament, was there a kind of, well, this is our chance now, we've nothing to lose, let's go and win it kind of mentality?
We came second in the qualifying group after Yugoslavia, and there was a civil war in Yugoslavia, and they were excluded by UEFA. So all the players actually went on holiday, thinking we are not going to the Euros. And I was in a summer house near the seafront, and I got a call from the national coach. Would you like to come? And that was maybe 2, 3, 4 days before the tournament started. So I had to go to my club and pick up my boots and go straight to training camp. And it was different from player situation to another player situation. There was... secondly, I think maybe I've been playing second league with Odense tournament, whatever. But we were on holiday, and we were coming to this tournament as underdogs, not preparing well, not being in shape and form, and we were meeting in the group first England. Then home team Sweden, and last game France. France had Michel Platini as head coach. They had not lost 22 games, and they had Eric Cantona up front, Jean-Pierre Papin, who was voted European Footballer of the Year one year, and they had Laurent Blanc, Didier Deschamps, both national coach for France now and former, and world-class players. And the first game we drew 0-0 against England, and then we lost against Sweden 1-0. So we were in that position in the last group game against France that we had to win the game to go through to the semi-finals. As I said, they hadn't lost 22 games, and there were no expectations for Denmark and our team. And that game, I came on against France. I came on the pitch in the second half, and 10 minutes after, in the 78th minute, I scored the winner 2-1. Jean-Pierre Papin had equalized to 1-1, so we went ahead 1-0, and we made it through that game, and now we were in the semi-finals. And that was the first party celebration days in Denmark. Small country with 6 million people, maybe 5 million at that time. And everybody was celebrating. And as you said, you have your remembrance of that 3-2 derby win. So did Denmark now get football fever, got memories of this exact time, what is happening. This happened in the Euros 3 times when we drew 2-2 against Holland and went to penalty shootouts, and Peter Schmeichel saved the penalty kick from Van Basten. We went through to the final against West Germany, 3 times world champions, had big world-class players playing in big addresses all over Europe, and we beat them 2-0. That was a fairy tale written better than an Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale, and it was for real. We were in it, and all of Denmark celebrated. There were so many people on the street in the whole of the country, in all of Danish history, except one time, that was in 1945, when the Allied went through Denmark and liberated Denmark, and Montgomery was in the tank. So these memories are sweet for us.
We can see just how emotional they are. I think that tournament, that was the first I'd ever heard of Peter Schmeichel. He hadn't gone to Man United at that time, had he? And John Jensen was just about to go to Arsenal, and that team was quite incredible. But
yeah, I mean, because it was such a surprise to even be there. What was the celebration like at the end when you won?
For them, yes. We did the day after. We went by aeroplane from Sweden to Copenhagen airport, and was received by sirens from the firearms, police with sirens, all staff, medical workers in the airport, and we could not believe it. In the air from Sweden, there were 2 F-16 fighters with pilots locked on each wing, and they were sitting with these special Danish hats on top of their heads, where there are 2 hands, and when you put the string, they are clapping. And we went to the windows, and we couldn't believe our own eyes. Also, when we arrived in the airport, we had to go to the mayor's hall in central Copenhagen, and it was supposed to take maybe 15 minutes bus ride. It took 1 hour and a half, and we were sitting on top of the bus, as we see, and people were handing up beers, and we had to jump off the bus that had to keep going. When we had to go to the toilet, just into a bar, and then back on the bus, up on the balcony, and the whole square was crowded with people, and it was amazing.
Because, I mean, we dream of these sorts of things as England fans, and the closest we got,
Luton.
Recently, England were England,
yes.
In terms of the national
team. Well, you have 1966.
Well, but we weren't alive then, so we get told about it by our dads. But we lost in the Euro finals, the last ones. But then before that, in that era, the only thing we had that came close was Italia 90, where we got to the semi-final. Right. And when the team came back to Luton Airport, the whole of the town came out to welcome them. But that was we came fourth in that tournament eventually. But you guys, you won the tournament.
Yes, we made it all the way, which is the top. But when you do play good football, that the fans and spectators appreciate, you win their hearts. And I believe that is what your team in that was 1990 that when they are received, people can see good football when players give the best for their team, national team or club team. And of course, we all like to be number one. But there are 20 teams in the Premier League, and you can't be number one. All of them. There's only one that can win the trophy. So with the time, you can build and you can dream, and those dreams we should have of reaching the top. But it's more winning hearts of people in football and in life that matters. And time will come when you do the right work with the right heart, you will receive back what you deserve.
Can I ask about that final? Because obviously it must have been great to have won it. You were on the bench and didn't get on. What was that experience like for you? Were you disappointed not to get on?
No, that's a special event for me. I thought I was good enough for the team. The first 4 games against England, Sweden, France and Holland. And the Germany game, I've gotten fear in my mind and I didn't want to play the game. This is just my own small story. And I was happy not to start in the game. So I was sitting on the bench and watching.
Yeah. Was this a sort of mental thing that you couldn't at the time
that
navigate?
Is a mental thing, yes.
Yeah. Is that something that stuck with you around that sort of time?
Well, that's a big issue. Fear and anxiety in one's own mind, and how to get beyond that and be free, find freedom, find liberation. This I looked for when I stopped my career as 30 years old in 1993. I could not smile anymore because I was filled with fear and could not find my way in life. And I wanted to get out of football in my contract periods, or get out of being committed to other people. I wanted to be my own boss, which I could not find in that life I had. So for 30 years, I've been looking for this place in the mind where I am without anxiety and fear. And I found this place now.
Oh, I'm very glad about that, because that's the only thing that we heard. I mean, we were 9 and 10 at the time, so we were only interested in really the football. But so we've got reports of what happens when you left Luton, say, and they always talked about it was anxiety and you wanted to go home.
I got homesick. I wanted to go back to Denmark, where I could feel more safe and secure and knew the surroundings. That I wanted.
Yeah. But I mean, you say it was 30 years old, wasn't it, when you decided to leave football?
Yeah, 28 when I left Luton and 30 when leaving football, yes.
It's kind of an unusual situation, I would say.
Well, every player is different from the other. Every mindset is different and everybody is different from the other. And we all have our agendas and what we want from life. And how long your career will be is also individual. Some stop when they're 25 because of a heavy injury. Maybe not free will, but each player has his own free will to play football as long as he will, and as long as he commits himself with his contract. Maybe not even that. But he can make his own choice of doing what he wants. And if you love playing football, play football and take care of your body and mind. Then enjoy your time. Anywhere, whether it's football, it's art, or it's music, or you're a worker, enjoy your time where you are. But always look after yourself. So I stopped when I was 30. Jan Heinze, left back playing for PSV Eindhoven, he was very aware of his own body eating healthy, taking his rest, doing stretching and yoga. So he prolonged his career till 37. Goalkeepers can prolong their career to longer. So when you stop, it's individual.
Do you, was there anything with your body where you were feeling old, or was
I was worn out.
Yeah.
Body was damaged. Mind was damaged. So it was about time that I stopped my career.
Do you think if there was probably more help at that time, because there's more now? I think we're probably still not 100% in the best place, but for instance, a couple of seasons ago, a Luton goalkeeper called Craig King decided just to stop playing professional football because it was affecting his mental state, so he stopped, and and everybody was great for his honesty and appreciated what he said, but there was help around the time, and the club helped him, and he was thankful for that. But in the 80s and early 90s, perhaps not. And do you think if there was more help, that would have made a difference?
Maybe, but if you have to help another person, you will have to have greater understanding of how to approach that person that becomes insecure, depressive, closed, not so open. And it was hard in those days to find someone. It also depends on who I am personally, how much I am able to receive help from others, which I couldn't. So I felt kind of alone and not daring to open up to others, because that would taking advice and doing stuff will make me more stressful. So I didn't do that. And I also could receive some help. But the main thing I've learned the last 30 years is that I had to look elsewhere to find myself again, where I could smile and find out the meaning of life. And this I found in my Indian guru that has a higher consciousness and knows stuff that can make me stop up from the busy world, the busy mind, which I am born into, brought up into, which is hard to get out of, and to turn the wheel so you go on the right path and you actually live a joyful and happy life. That is the turn in life that not so many people find, but it is for everyone to find it. And this I found in South India with my guru, and it's taken me 28 years from I started saying I cannot smile anymore, I want to find my smile again. It's taken me 28 years.
Was that, I mean, when you stopped football at 30, you'd be aware there's a lot of stories written about what you did next, and I don't want to preempt any of it because of some of it probably were sensationalist headlines and things like that. But they were talk of things like going into a spiritual sect, or sometimes unfairly probably saying it was a cult. And what was the next step after you made that decision to leave football? What were you doing there? What did you do?
I looked at brochures of from spiritual people presenting and introducing me to different ways of looking at life, exercises, doing yoga and meditation, dance meditation, listening to talks from spiritual people, getting to know about the words and chakras, energies. And this was what I was looking for, and that was the introduction when you first come into a new group, a new company. Do I like this company? Do I fit in? And this was the way for me.
Mm-hmm. And did you know about these things while you were playing football, or
not really?
Only once you stopped?
I saw a UFO in Odense when I was 29 years old. A light, a UFO coming on the sky and making a 90-degree turn. That is something special when you see this. But I was interested in football, playing football. I love playing football. And that becomes my world. And it's like I was always tired when I played football, and when you get into the national team or you play European Cup, it's Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, sometimes 3 games a week. And it is very hard playing a football game. It is so concentrated. It is physically hard, mentally hard can it be. So you need your rest afterwards to recover and get ready for the next. There was no time for other stuff. Yeah. And there was no need for it because I loved it. Loved the football.
I mean, because you've probably had as much life now after football, 30 years after football and 30 years while, being a kid playing football and growing up and being professional.
Yes, that was actually my dream becomes my dream job. If
you knew what you know now and have discovered what you know now back then, I mean, you were a good footballer. Let's not beat around the bush. You played for your national side. When you come on, you used to replace Michael Laudrup, who was no slouch. Do you ever think about what you know now, how good you could have been even better?
Well, each time you are what you are at that time. And looking back, you cannot change the past. You cannot change who you were. You are you. And you can do things for yourself in that period time I am now, to look brighter at life. And what I do today is I do yoga, I do exercise, I do stretching, I keep my body in form, I keep my mind in form by feeding myself right, doing the right things for me, going the right places, taking my time, have order and discipline in, and learn from my experiences. That is what I do today. And I know now, getting out from my last depression period 16 months ago, on the 1st of January 2022, it's 16 months ago, I watched myself daily, on a physical basis and mental basis, and I see, am I going the right way? Am I smiling as much today or more than I was yesterday? Making sure that I am happy today. And this has been an ongoing process for 16 months. And I smile more every day now because I do the right things for myself. And this is not an egoistic thought. Taking care of oneself. Then I gather my own energy and I have more to give to others. And I am more able to select good things and keep away bad things, thoughts or talk from others, and not give that so much energy as I would have done in those days back.
Because I think mental health is a key thing in life, isn't
it?
Yes,
it is.
Not just in football. But so, did you ever get diagnosed with anything then?
Oh yes, a lot. Insanity.
Really?
Oh yes. Bipolar, is that what it's called? Bipolar something. And you have all kind of marks or whatever you call it of this disease from doctors' science, which is popular putting a tag on this person's disease or sickness. So I also have those tags. The basic thing, the main disease of people in the West, and also mainly in the West, is busyness, being in a hurry, having a schedule that is overloaded, and you're running after things, and you will never have time to stay in an area and find a depth in that area, in that conversation. But we run after that, and we get stressed, and fear comes into our minds, and we have no time enough to live life. And that is a bad circle to get into. You have to reverse the circle, confusion circle, to get out. And your question?
I guess ultimately, I think it sounds like you found a form of spirituality that helped with that.
Yes.
You may have got the medical diagnosis at the time.
That was the diagnosis, yes. I had many, and other people's get many. I don't care so much about what others, even though they have a doctor's title, say about me. I can read those, and I can look through those people. I can see how much they know, how much advice they can give me. And I'm now in a position that I can give the doctor advice of what to do. And what you say to me is wrong, or what you say to me, that is right. And then when I meet this doctor, there will be my energy and his energy. That will become a win-win situation for both people. But I need to have my voice, my own mind, speak against the doctor if he's wrong. Listen to him when he's right. That is my own mind. That is the boss in any conversation now. Any person should have this.
So did you find finding a better lifestyle and a spirituality and all these things were the thing that worked for you, as opposed to, say, well, I don't know if you're on medication or anything. Was that the thing that finds us with you today now?
Yes, I think so. I found myself, and that is some kind of goal. But when you reach that goal, the day becomes brand new every day. And you can make new goals, and life continues until death. There's only one guarantee in life. That is that you die, you physically die. That's the only guarantee you get in life. So I keep my options open. I try to relax as much as I can, learn as much as I can, and then every day will become new and open and exciting to live.
So you're still scoring goals, just in a different way.
Yes, I'm scoring, yes. And the Shawshank Redemption movie, which, you know, this one, like the one who gets imprisoned for killing his wife or girlfriend innocently. He stays 17 years in prison, being raped, harassed, humiliated. But from day one, he planned his escape. And when he escapes after 17 years, it's one day in freedom. That day in freedom makes up for 17 years in prison, because now he has life to look forward to. And there's no reason to be sad about what happened or how he was treated, because now he reached his goal. That was out in the free, out of his prison. And this is a picture of the mental human prison.
Yeah, I mean, to bring it back to football slightly. Did you fall out of love of football when you left? And are you now back in love?
When you get sad and goals don't come and you feel the pressure, you don't like football as much, because I'm not functioning as a human being or a football player. And it is different also. When you are on a high, you love it. And when it goes down, you still love the game, always, actually. Because it's out playing with the kids, with the guys, coming onto the training pitch and the games. It is a game, and I love it.
I was going to say, yeah, what's your relationship with football now that you've had these life experiences?
Yes, and looking back at my experiences as football players, there's a lot of learning for me to watch those pictures and talk about those days.
So you're in Luton. There are a couple of days away. You're going to go to your first Luton game since you left.
Yes,
you're going to see Luton play Middlesbrough in what could be potentially a dress rehearsal for the playoffs.
Yes,
you're going to go back to a stadium which really hasn't changed much since you left.
Yes,
so it'd be quite a familiar place.
Uh-huh.
How much are you looking forward to that?
I'm looking very much forward to it, sitting in the stands with my new eyes and feeling the atmosphere, the special atmosphere of Kenilworth Road, the intensity, watching all the theatre and the football game. And I'm supporting Luton.
And will there be a tiny part of you that wishes you were out there playing for Luton?
Not one thing. That was my time back then, and it's a new days and new time now.
We should say to everyone listening that we met up with your former teammate Mick Harford for a quick coffee before we turned the mics on. Obviously he's Mr. Luton now, and he's been with us through these intervening 32 years in some really remarkable moments for the club, and I think every Hearts fan loves him dearly. And what are your memories of the man?
Well, I played 2 or 3 months with Mick. And when I saw him, I could see that there was some special kind of aura around him. He was big, he was strong, he was laughing and smiling, and I could sense he was a good-hearted person. And I looked up to him, and also with other players, but Mick was special. So there is some kind of connection with other people when you see good things in people. And if I'm scared of other players, I was the opposite of Mick. I was happy that he was in the dressing room.
Yeah, I mean, he played, and you played, obviously, in an era of the supposed hard man, and he's often billed as the hardest man. But you played against many defenders that probably would strike the fear into the hearts of players today. But Stuart Pearce, Psycho at Nottingham Forest,
Vinnie
Jones. Who were your hardest opponents?
It's got to be Vinnie Jones. Vinnie Jones. Psycho, Stuart Pearce also. I was afraid to dribble past him because you know he was a hard guy. Then I've seen pictures and on YouTube videos from my time. I think Graham Souness. I wouldn't like to be on the opposite team. I would like him to be in my team. Yes, that must be some of the worst opponents to meet and face.
Well, Lars, it's great to catch up with you. As I said halfway through this podcast, you're a hero of mine 30 plus years ago. You're still a hero to all Luton fans. We really, 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 really thank you for the 2 years, the special part that you played at our club in those 2 years. We really hope you enjoy being back at the stadium on Monday. Enjoy that game, and just thank you for everything that you did for our great club. And thank you for giving us some of your time this afternoon. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.